Hey everyone, welcome back. I know it's been a little bit, been pretty busy, had some traveling, had some weddings to go to. Shot one of them actually for a little bit just as a favor to a friend, but now I'm back, and in that I used some Sony gear, and I've put out a video before about some of the Sony gear that I'll be transitioning into. But one thing I wanted to get into today was open boxing and first impressions of the G Master lenses, primarily the 24-70 and the 70-200. A couple important lenses for me just because I've got some pretty creative ways to use them. I do have my GH5 still, so really hard for me to give up. I appreciate the 60 frames a second. I also appreciate its portability, and that's something that's really been tough for me to completely move away from, but I'll get into that. So today I'll just stick to the open boxing and first impressions on these lenses, and then I'm also going to at a later date make a video on my philosophy of use. So getting started here, these are really some of the pinnacle lenses that you're going to have in the collection. They're both boxed fairly similarly. I did purchase these through Best Buy open box. And so one reason I do that is it's just such a huge cost savings. I mean, typically you're anywhere from 20% or higher, and I have never had an issue really with Best Buy open box, with the exception of one time recently. I went to purchase the 28mm f2 full frame lens for Sony, and it was mispackaged. It was a completely wrong item, so that was not a condition thing. In here, again, make sure you purchase those Open Box Excellent because those are verified and certified, but we'll get into this. They're both going to be very similar in packaging and layout. You're going to have your strap for the carry case as well as instructions, but that's really not something you need. Same with the strap. These cases are pretty nice if you do need to, say, put these in something to transport them if you don't have a Pelican case or anything like that. One thing I do like about the Sony boxes is just the graphics on the outside. For some reason it just makes it a little more attractive, like what you're getting, rather than just a utilitarian plain box that just has a number and some lettering on it. So here's the 70-200, both very similar packaging. Put these in the back for right now. Everything looks to be in great condition. Now, one thing I do like about these cases is the fact, like I said, they do have the ability for the strap, but you'll see as you open them up, they have this dual zipper here. This dual zipper pull makes it really easy to open and close these if you are going to use them back and forth. One thing you'll find is these do have to be inserted with the bell of the lens down, or else they won't get a proper fit, but pulling these out, there's a strap for this one. The inside of the case is really nice. It's got a almost like a soft microfelt, microfiber feel to it, and it's padded pretty heavily. So, you know, if you did need to carry ultralight, you know, just have a strap for your camera and then this strapped on the other side, you could get away with that and carry just your lenses. So we'll get these out of the way once I get the lenses out. And again, same similar design, dual zipper pull down. Both of the lenses are in fantastic packaging. Same similar structure, and actually for a size comparison in the cases, you can see these, and it gives you an idea of the size of the lenses. That also is one thing that's a little tough for me to move away from Micro Four Thirds, is just the portability and the size of the lenses. What I can take with me in a kit versus now where I may have to make some decisions on which lenses to bring with me. I never had that issue before. So here's the 24-70. You do have your hood. The nice thing about Sony hoods is, I'll put that on the appropriate way in a second, is something that you'll see on the Micro Four Thirds Leica lenses. They do have this locking tab here, and I'll get in a close shot for you to see it. It's nice because you don't have to worry about, if you pull a lens out of your bag, if it's going to jostle or pull that hood off for you. On top of that, the 70-200 is pretty interesting. It's got an extra enhancement that I think is really functional. So let's put these on the lens, and then we'll give the breakdown of what we're looking at for usability and quality, things of that sort. So to get this guy on there, you're going to line up the dash to the dash, red to red, slide it over. So there you go. Here is the lens hood for the 70-200. So similar interface, pretty simple for most people. You'll see the Sony emblem on the top side there. to start with how they're built, they feel very stout and heavy. I really appreciate the rubberized texture of the focus ring, and I can tell you the nature in which the focus ring rotates is pretty exceptional. You know, your zoom ring and your focus ring a lot of times can cause you some issues, you know, specifically shooting micro four thirds, that like a 100 to 400 is so stiff that if you have to change depths, you're not really going to get there. Now on the 24 to 70, one thing you're going to notice is there is this lock tab here. So with the lock tab, you're going to want to make sure you have released that. The reason that's good is when you are traveling, this is a trombone type, so it's not going to extend on you. But at the same time, if you are traveling, it's not going to extend in your bag, or you go to pull it out of your bag, it'll give some resistance. You're not going to extend or harm the lens in any way. One reason that's also useful, and this does speak to the quality of the Sony lens, a lot of times with some of these longer trombone style lenses, due to the weight, they may fall back in on themselves, or if you're carrying your camera upside down, they may extend on their own. But with these guys, I haven't seen them do that. Plus, it has that lock there for that. So, getting into the lenses, we'll start with the 24 to 70. Of course, you've got your branding here. You'll see that in the orange G emblem. Immediately makes it more expensive. And to quote the line from the Edelkrone, it's made out of a rare metal, unobtainium. So, it's kind of a funny joke just to get into the premium for these lenses. It's excellent glass, on par with Canon glass. You can find the specific tests and things like that out there on some different showings, but I'm not going to get into that as far as quality yet. With this 24 to 70, you do have one programmable custom key here that can either be a focus hold or whatever you may want it to do. Sometimes you could program that for the eye autofocus, which would be a great thing for a lot of Sony shooters if you are doing portraits or any sort of street photography or lifestyle. Of course, you've got your autofocus manual focus switch, and then your front here in the belly or housing, you've got your tulip pattern hood, and then an exceptionally large 82 millimeter front piece of glass. So I'm really impressed with the quality of the lens. The weight of it is solid. It doesn't necessarily feel too heavy. Now, right now, one of the cameras I'm filming on is my A6500. If you put these G Master lenses on the A6500, and I'll roll in a picture here, it's a little funky. That said, you can do a battery grip, and that helps really give you more purchase area to continue to use the camera in a more comfortable way. It can be done without it, but weight distribution is pretty awful if you're using an A6500. With your A7 series and the newly announced A9, you're going to be in great shape. All right, so getting into the 70 to 200, the feature I was talking about on the hood here that I really like is this little garage door. You can roll that up, and what that does is it gives you access to a filter. You know, so if you have a circular polarizer on there, you can still adjust it and manipulate it and put that right back, and you're not going to adjust it or knock it or anything else. So this way you don't have to take your hood on and off. It does have that button to depress to make sure it's on there and be able to be removed easily. So that's a great feature of it. I really appreciate that for taking it in and out of my bag, and it does work the same forward to back. One thing you'll notice on the 70 to 200 is there are significantly more switches. Now, something to be aware of depending on the type of photography you do. Outside of your autofocus manual focus and having the steady shot on, there's a couple of different modes. Read about those. They're going to have different effectiveness, but the main thing you want to pay attention to is this switch right here. So this middle switch, this is going to be your full focus range of infinity to, you know, forever as far as focusing distance. The other is starting at a minimum 3 meter. The reason that's important to you is it cuts out a lot of the focus range that's not necessarily being used, and it allows for a quicker acquisition and refocus. So you're not going to have that pump or that focus breathing or pulsing a lot of people may see, because you're really eliminating a range it doesn't have to check, and that makes the lens a little smarter when you're going to use it. On this lens, you will see 3 programmable keys. That's great, gives you a lot of options as far as how you use it. And the reason that is strictly ergonomic. So when you have your tripod collar here and your tripod foot, which is A really nice design. I really like the turn knob here. It's a lot easier than some of the other just gnarled round knobs. This is easier to apply, spin, rotate, and tighten. But you have this knob here, and what this knob does for you is it gives you the ability to loosen that collar and rotate it. And you'll see dots on the lens itself, and that gives you the alignment. So if you wanted to have it off to the side, if you were doing some handheld shooting, you could do that. A lot of times I'll have this on my monopod or tripod if I'm shooting some wildlife, and if I want to go portrait mode from landscape, I loosen the collar and can rotate the camera versus having to have an L bracket or something else on the camera in order to manipulate that. So it's super smooth, super steady. The lens is sealed very, very well. It seems made exceptionally well, and I am super excited to get these to use them. So one other thing I did get, it's not out here, is the 2x teleconverter. Reason being is I have some supreme range with my GH5 and that 100 to 400. Effectively, you have 800 meters or 800 millimeters of focal range. You don't quite have that with the Sony yet, so their 1 to 400 is coming out this summer, July, August period of time. What I can do and really get myself an advantage here, I'll use that 2x teleconverter, essentially making this a 140 to 400, and then when I add it to my crop body A6500, that's another 1.5 times. So that gets me all the way out to 600 millimeters. 11 frames per second on that guy. I've been able to capture some amazing shots when I have had this lens once before, and I'm really excited to have it back in the stable and own it now and keep it long term. So look for more detailed reviews coming out on each of these lenses, and I can't wait for you guys to see what I do next. Also, if these videos that I'm making continue to go well shooting with the 2 Sony cameras, I have a feeling this GH5 and lenses is going to be on eBay. So look out for that. Please use my links below as they start to get implemented. It does help me get a little bit more into the channel, so I'm not having to sparse out my equipment when I can afford it, but can do more testing earlier. And then also subscribe, like the video, hit that thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit that thumbs down twice and we will move on. So appreciate you guys. Keep watching and look forward to more videos. Thank you.